My beloved child, stop whatever you are doing right now. Do not scroll past this. Do not close this video. Give me this moment. Because what is happening right now was not placed in your path by accident. This is not a coincidence. Before this day began, before you opened this message, before your thoughts carried you here, this moment had already been prepared. I have been waiting for this moment for longer than you realize. Out of all the voices you could have listened to today, I allowed this one to reach you because there is something I must place inside your heart before you move forward. Do not rush. You may think this is just another video, another message, another passing moment, but it is not. This is a divine appointment. I interrupted your day because there is something you have been missing. Not because you failed, not because you were abandoned, but because the timing had not yet been revealed. Stay with me. Do not let distraction steal this moment. What I am about to tell you is connected to the prayer you never fully finished, the question you asked in silence, the answer you stopped expecting. You have been asking for clarity. You have been searching for confirmation. You have been wondering whether what you feel inside is real. And before this message ends, I will reveal one specific instruction, a key you must understand if you want to recognize what heaven has already begun unfolding around you. But not yet. First, I need your full attention. Lean in. Listen carefully, because what happens after this moment may change the way you see everything. My beloved child, now stay close and listen carefully, because I want to speak into places inside you that no one else has reached. You have wondered whether anyone truly noticed what these last seasons have cost you. I noticed. I was there in moments you believed belonged only to silence. I saw you continue conversations while your mind was somewhere else entirely. I saw you answer people with, "I'm okay," while carrying weight you did not know how to explain. I saw the quiet exhaustion that settled into your spirit little by little until you forgot what rest even felt like. You did not become tired overnight. You became tired from being the one who kept holding everything together. You became tired from surviving. And I need you to hear this clearly. Your struggle was never invisible to me. I saw the nights when you lay awake not because you wanted to, but because your thoughts would not stop speaking. I saw you staring into darkness while replaying conversations, calculating numbers, carrying responsibilities, wondering how much longer you could keep doing this. I saw the moments when your body rested but your soul did not. I saw the tears that never became crying because you swallowed them before they reached the surface. You thought silence meant no one knew, but heaven knew. My child, I also saw the burdens you carried in places no one talks about. I saw the financial pressure, the moments you opened accounts, counted expenses, delayed purchases, and quietly told yourself you would figure it out somehow. I saw the embarrassment of needing help but not wanting to ask. I saw the fear of not having enough. I saw the pressure of being responsible for people while secretly wondering who was carrying you. And when you looked around and felt like everyone else was moving faster while you stood still, I saw that too. You called yourself behind. I never called you behind. I saw your health worries, not only physical exhaustion, the heaviness in your chest, the days when simple tasks felt heavier than they should, the moments when your mind kept running, even when your body wanted peace, the fear that something inside you had changed, the moments you searched for answers but found uncertainty. You tried to remain strong because you did not want others to worry. But I saw how much energy it took just to appear normal, and I never looked away. I saw the betrayal you never fully talked about. Not only the people who left, but the people who stayed while becoming strangers. The promises that sounded permanent until they disappeared. The moments you trusted deeply and received distance in return. The times you questioned your own value because someone else changed. You wondered whether you had been too much, too trusting, too hopeful, too available. No, my child, their choices were never the measurement of your worth. I saw every moment you blamed yourself for wounds you did not create. I saw you become more careful, more guarded, more quiet. I saw the way disappointment changed how you loved, and I understood. I also saw something others did not. I saw the kindness you kept giving while hurting. I saw you answer gently when you wanted to break. I saw you continue helping people while carrying your own unanswered questions. I saw the prayers you stopped saying out loud and started carrying inside. I saw the moments when all you could pray was a breath. And I tell you now, not one reached empty air. Not one act of patience disappeared. Not one sacrifice was ignored. Not one day of endurance went unnoticed. You thought nothing was changing because you could not see movement. But there are things that grow where human eyes cannot measure. You thought your waiting meant nothing. But waiting has never been empty when I am present. You thought persistence made you weak because it looked small. But I call it faithfulness. You thought holding on quietly did not matter. But heaven records what people overlook. My beloved child, there were days you believed you were falling apart. But what if I told you something difficult was happening beneath the surface? What if what felt like losing strength was actually something old, losing authority over you? What if what felt like delay was not abandonment? You do not understand everything yet. And I am not asking you to. I am only asking you not to judge your story before I finish writing this chapter. Because there is something I need to reveal to you next. Something that will make you see these painful seasons differently. So stay with me. Do not look away. Because what I am about to show you changes the meaning of everything you thought you lost. My beloved child, there is something I need you to understand before you move forward. You have spent so long measuring your life by visible results that you almost missed the invisible work that has already taken place inside you. You kept asking whether anything was changing, but you were looking for movement in places where transformation rarely begins. You looked for immediate answers. I was shaping deeper foundations. You looked for open roads. I was building endurance. You looked for certainty. I was growing discernment. You looked at the outside and thought little had happened. But I have been doing quiet work in hidden places. There were seasons when life slowed down, and you interpreted that slowing as failure. You wondered whether everyone else received opportunities while you received lessons. You questioned why progress seemed delayed. But hear me carefully now. Not every season is meant to produce visible fruit. Some seasons are designed to produce roots. Roots do not attract attention. Roots do not receive applause. Roots grow in places nobody celebrates. Yet they are the reason something survives when pressure comes. You asked me for strength. You expected me to remove difficulty. Instead, I developed capacity. You asked me to change circumstances. I began enlarging your spirit. You wanted immediate relief. I was creating stability. And because you could not immediately recognize the process, you assumed nothing meaningful was happening. But I never stopped working. My beloved child, there were moments when you chose integrity, even though compromise looked easier. Nobody noticed. I noticed. There were opportunities to become bitter. You resisted. There were moments when disappointment could have turned your heart cold, but you remained soft. There were times when life tempted you to become someone you are not, yet something inside you refused. That mattered. More than you know. You thought survival was your only achievement, but I saw wisdom forming. I saw restraint forming I saw maturity forming. I saw patience becoming stronger than impulse. I saw your spirit becoming less dependent on external approval. I saw you becoming harder to shake. You called it exhaustion. I called it preparation. And no part of that preparation was wasted. I know there were days when you compared your timeline to others. You looked at people celebrating milestones and wondered if you had somehow missed your moment. You questioned whether your season would ever arrive. Listen carefully. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not standing outside the story. Different timing does not mean different value. The tree that grows slowly often survives longer. The foundation that takes time often carries greater weight. You do not need to race to become who you were created to be. My child, I need to say something that may surprise you. Some of what you lost was not taken from you. Some things reached their assignment and ended. Not because you failed, not because you lacked faith, but because they could not go where you are going. You mourned things I was already releasing. You tried to reopen chapters that had completed their purpose. You called endings rejection, but some endings were protection dressed as disappointment. And even now, there are things you still do not understand. You may not understand today, but understanding is not required for trust. You do not need every answer before taking the next step. You only need to know this. I have never allowed your endurance to be meaningless. No quiet act of faith disappeared. No unseen obedience became empty. No season of staying faithful evaporated unnoticed. Nothing was thrown away. Nothing. And because nothing was wasted, something is changing. My beloved child, hear this with your whole heart. The season where everything felt suspended is coming to its close. Not because you earned it, not because you became perfect, but because the work required for this chapter has reached completion. What felt like standing still has prepared movement. What felt repetitive has prepared transition. What felt hidden has prepared revelation. Do not mistake calm for absence. Do not mistake silence for inactivity. Do not mistake delay for denial. Something is shifting, not outside first. Inside. And when something changes inside, life eventually follows. So do not disconnect now. Do not become impatient at the edge of the process. Stay attentive, because in what comes next, I am going to show you why certain doors remained closed, why certain paths disappeared, and why what looked painful may have been one of the greatest acts of care you have ever received. Stay with me, because the meaning of your journey is about to become clear. My beloved child, now I need you to see something you could not see while you were inside the struggle. Because pain always changes shape when viewed from the middle of it. When you stand inside uncertainty, everything feels unnecessary. When you stand inside delay, everything feels unfair. When you stand inside silence, everything feels abandoned. But there are truths that only become visible after a season has done its work. And I do not want you to leave this moment carrying the wrong interpretation of your journey. Listen carefully. You believed hardship meant I had stepped back. You believed resistance meant I had closed my hand. You believed interruption meant I had changed my mind. But what if none of those things were true? What if the places you called punishment were actually protection? What if the places you called loss were places where I prevented damage you could not yet recognize? My child, not every closed road is rejection. Some roads are closed because they lead to destinations that cannot carry your future. You asked why certain plans dissolved. You asked why certain opportunities disappeared just when they seemed close enough to touch. You asked why momentum vanished. You thought I removed something good. But there are moments when I remove what looks right because I can already see what it becomes later. You only see beginnings. I say endings. You only see attraction. I see consequences. You only see the invitation. I see the destination. There are things you once begged me to preserve that would have eventually emptied you. There were situations you thought would save you that would have slowly reduced who you are. There were environments that looked promising but would have demanded pieces of your spirit in exchange. And because I loved you too much to let success become destruction, I interrupted the process. Not to punish you, to protect you. You called that interruption delay. I called it rescue. My beloved child, there is another thing I need you to understand. Refinement rarely feels beautiful while it is happening. No one celebrates being stretched. No one enjoys being confronted. No one welcomes being slowed. But growth that changes destiny almost never arrives through comfort alone. You asked for greater capacity. Capacity requires expansion. Expansion requires pressure. You asked for deeper wisdom. Wisdom abuhuar. You asked to become stronger. Strength is not transferred. It is formed. That does not mean I enjoyed watching you struggle. It means I refuse to leave you unchanged. Because I do not prepare blessings only. I prepare people who can carry them. And what is the value of receiving something your character cannot sustain? Hear me carefully. You were not being reduced. You were being expanded. You were not being hidden. You were being developed. You were not being ignored. You were being entrusted with formation before elevation. Do not move away from this moment, because what I am about to reveal next may explain years you still do not understand. My beloved child, there is something else. You thought waiting meant inactivity, but waiting has often been one of the most active places of transformation. Because waiting reveals things speed never exposes. Waiting reveals attachments. Waiting reveals fears. Waiting reveals where identity has become dependent on outcomes. Waiting reveals whether your hope survives when results disappear. And many times, what I was doing was not withholding from you. I was separating you from things you thought you needed. You thought you needed immediate answers. I was teaching trust. You thought you needed control. I was teaching surrender. You thought you needed certainty. I was teaching steadiness. You thought you needed escape. I was teaching endurance. And now hear this warning carefully, because this next moment matters. There are people who arrive at the edge of fulfillment and turn back because they misunderstand transition. They interpret discomfort as a sign to quit. They interpret silence as a sign to abandon what was planted. They walk away just before the door begins to move. Do not do that, because opportunities connected to calling cannot remain open forever in the same form. There are moments in life when readiness matters. There are seasons when hesitation becomes costly, and if a person repeatedly refuses preparation, eventually what was assigned must continue through someone willing to receive it. Do not misunderstand me. This is not rejection. This is responsibility. I am speaking because I do not want impatience to convince you to abandon what has already been prepared. Do not disconnect now. Do not become careless now. Do not mistake this stage for emptiness. Because what comes next is not information. It is instruction. And the instruction I am about to reveal carries the key that determines whether you recognize the season you are standing in or wander longer than necessary. Stay close. Listen carefully, because the next truth changes everything. My beloved child, there is one more reason I allowed you to walk through what you did, and this part is difficult to understand until the season is nearly complete. Not everything delayed you. Some things revealed you, because there are truths inside a person that only appear when outcomes remain uncertain. When life moves quickly, many things remain hidden. But when progress slows, motives become visible. Expectations become visible. Dependencies become visible. You discovered parts of yourself you never would have noticed in easier seasons. You learned where fear had quietly become your counselor. You learned where approval had become your reward. You learned where urgency had become your identity. And although those discoveries felt uncomfortable, they became invitations. Not invitations to shame, invitations to freedom. Because I never expose weakness to humiliate. I reveal what limits you so I can release you from it. There were places inside you where you thought, if this happens, then I will finally feel secure. But security built on outcomes cannot survive change. So before giving what you asked for, I began relocating your confidence, not into results, not into timing, not into people, but into something deeper than circumstances. Because blessings are safest in hands that no longer worship them. And now hear me carefully. There are moments in life when people believe the breakthrough itself is the reward. But often the greater reward is becoming someone who no longer needs external proof to remain steady. That is why some answers arrive slower than expected. Not because heaven forgot, but because arrival without readiness becomes burden. You thought the destination was the miracle. Many times, the transformation before arrival was the miracle. My beloved child, I need your attention now more than ever. Because what I say next belongs to this moment. There are seasons in life that repeat until their invitation is accepted. Not because I enjoy repetition, but because unresolved lessons often recreate familiar landscapes. People call it bad luck. People call it being stuck. But many times, they are standing at the doorway of growth while asking for escape. Do not misunderstand. I am not speaking about earning love. You do not earn my love. But there are moments that require agreement. Moments that require response. Moments that require a person to stop postponing what they already know. And this is where many lose courage. Not at the beginning, at the threshold. Because transition feels unfamiliar. The old season no longer fits. The new season has not fully appeared. And people panic in the middle. They return to old patterns because uncertainty feels safer than trust. Do not retreat now. Because there are assignments connected to timing. There are invitations connected to readiness. There are moments that cannot be treated casually. My beloved child, listen closely. I am not telling you this to create fear. I am telling you this because attention matters. If a person repeatedly ignores the preparation of one season, eventually they become unavailable for what follows. Not because love ended, but because life continues moving. Doors are not punishment. Doors are responsibility. And responsibility asks for response. There are opportunities that arrive quietly. There are moments that do not announce themselves. There are seasons that look ordinary while carrying uncommon weight. Do not sleep through yours. Do not call this season insignificant. Do not delay the inner yes that has already been growing inside you. Because hesitation has a way of extending journeys that never needed to become deserts. And I do not want that for you. You have wandered in confusion long enough. You have questioned enough. You have stood outside enough. Now stay present. Stay awake. Stay available. Because something different is happening. Not tomorrow. Not eventually. Now. And this is why I ask you to remain. Because the next thing I reveal is not explanation. It is direction. You have spent long enough asking why. Now I am preparing to show you what comes next. But before I do, I need one thing from you. Do not divide your attention. Do not decide too quickly that you already understand. Do not walk away because the process feels unfamiliar. Because what is coming requires recognition. You may expect lightning. It may arrive as clarity. You may expect noise. It may arrive as peace. You may expect sudden change. It may begin as one decision. And if you miss the form because you expected something else, you may overlook the answer while waiting for a different version of it. So stay close. Keep listening. Because I am about to speak over your life in a different way. I am about to declare what this season becomes. I am about to reveal what has been reserved. And the next words will not explain your past. They will announce your next chapter. Do not move away now, because the turning point begins here. My beloved child, listen carefully now, because I am no longer speaking to explain where you have been. I am speaking to declare what changes from this moment forward. There are moments in your life that arrive quietly, and there are moments that divide one season from another. This is one of them. A decision has already been made beyond what your eyes can measure. A decree has been established in places you cannot see. And what once remained delayed is no longer being held in the same way. Hear this with faith. The season that trained you is not the season that will define you. The season that stretched you is not the season you remain in. Something has shifted. Not because conditions became perfect, not because every question was answered, but because what needed to be completed inside you has reached its appointed measure. My beloved child, there are times when heaven allows preparation to continue longer than expected, but there also comes a moment when preparation gives way to release. And I tell you now, that moment has begun. Listen closely, because this matters. There are doors opened by effort. There are doors opened by timing. And there are doors opened by divine decree. What I am speaking about now belongs to the third blanks, Evan 2. This is not about forcing outcomes. This is not about trying harder. This is not about proving yourself again. This is about recognizing that a new permission has been issued. Things that once resisted may begin responding. Things that once felt distant may begin approaching. Things that once seemed unavailable may suddenly become visible. Do not dismiss small beginnings. Do not ignore subtle movement, because not every breakthrough announces itself loudly. Sometimes it begins with unexpected peak. Sometimes it begins with courage returning. Sometimes it begins with one conversation. Sometimes it begins with one opportunity you almost overlook. Stay attentive, because I have another truth to reveal before this message ends. My beloved child, I also want you to understand this. You are not entering this next chapter as the same person who entered the last one. You are carrying different vision, different strength, different awareness. And because of that, what comes next cannot be approached the way old seasons were approached. This matters because old thinking cannot steward new territory. Old fear cannot guide new movement. Old hesitation cannot lead where I am taking you. So I ask you now for something simple. Do not remain only a listener. Participate. Declare your agreement. If your spirit senses that something is changing, write, I receive what is being prepared, not because words create miracles, but because agreement creates readiness. And before you move away, stay, because I still have one final truth to place in your hands. And what I reveal next will determine how you walk into what has just been released. My beloved child, remain with me for a little longer, because there is still one detail I cannot allow you to miss. You have heard about preparation. You have heard about timing. You have heard about transition. But now I want you to understand what happens after a decree is released. Because a decree is not merely an announcement. It is an invitation to step differently. There are people who pray for change, but continue negotiating with the patterns that kept them small. Do not do that, because what has been unlocked cannot be carried with yesterday's posture. Listen carefully. This next season will require a different response from you. When opportunities appear, do not shrink. When peace arrives, do not distrust it. When support appears, do not assume it will disappear. When movement begins, do not convince yourself it is temporary. Receive without fear. Build without apology. Walk without asking permission from your old limitations. My beloved child, I tell you this because many people recognize the opening but never enter. Not because the way was closed, because they remained emotionally loyal to seasons that had already ended. Do not stay attached to what no longer fits. Do not keep introducing yourself through old disappointments. Do not continue speaking over yourself with language formed in survival. You are not crossing over to become someone else. You are stepping into what has already been formed. And hear this carefully. There is grace attached to this moment. Do not postpone your response. Do not tell yourself you will believe later. Do not wait until everything becomes visible. Because there are seasons where movement follows agreement, not performance. Agreement. So I ask you now, if something inside you knows this chapter is changing, if you are ready to stop treating your future like a distant possibility, declare it. Right, I am ready. Not to earn what is coming, not to force what is unfolding, but to establish your willingness to walk forward when the path appears. And I have one final truth before we move on. This is important for your future. Do not measure what is happening only by what enters your hands. Measure it by who you are becoming while receiving it. Because what is arriving is not meant to impress others. It is meant to establish you. This is not a temporary rise. This is alignment. This is not borrowed momentum. This is inheritance. This is not luck. This is permission. So hold this moment carefully. Carry it with intention. Protect it from doubt. And do not step away yet. Because there is still one final thing I need to tell you before this message closes, and it may be the part that changes how you carry everything that comes next. My beloved child, before this moment closes, I want you to remain with me for just a little longer. Do not rush back into noise. Do not leave carrying these words as emotion alone. What has been spoken over your heart was never meant to remain a feeling. It was meant to become a response, because moments of revelation become meaningful when they are received with intention. You have listened. You have reflected. You have stayed. Now I invite you to do something simple but meaningful. Seal this moment, not because I need proof from you, not because love must be earned, but because faith becomes stronger when it moves from hearing into action. So I ask you now, write one sentence. Write, I will not return to who I was. Write it where you can see it. Write it as a reminder. Write it as a marker. Write it because there are moments in life that deserve to be remembered. And this is one of them. Let those words become a line between old thinking and new direction. My beloved child, there is power in agreement. There is power in choosing. There is power in saying yes to what your heart already knows. So if these words reached you, if something inside you became lighter, if something inside you awakened, then declare it. Write, Amen. Type Amen to claim this blessing. Not because a word creates change, but because your response becomes a way of saying, I choose faith over fear. I choose hope over hesitation. I choose to move forward. And if you believe a new chapter has begun, write, I believe. Seal this moment by declaring, I am ready. Do not underestimate small acts of faith. Great transformations often begin with one decision spoken out loud. My beloved child, there is something else I want to place in your heart. What you receive is not meant to stop with you. Encouragement grows when shared. Light becomes stronger when carried. If this message reminded you that hope still exists, share this video with someone who needs it. Think of one person, someone tired, someone discouraged, someone quietly carrying more than they admit. Send it to them. And if your heart feels led, share this video with 3 people who may need to hear these words. Not to convince, not to pressure, but to remind them they are not alone. My beloved child, I also want to speak to those who desire to support what brings encouragement and faith into people's lives. If this channel has become a place that helps you return to peace, if these messages have strengthened you, and if you freely desire to support this mission, you may choose to sow a seed of generosity, not as a payment, not as a guarantee, not to purchase blessing, but as a personal expression of gratitude, trust, and participation in continuing messages that bring hope to others. Give only with peace. Give only with willingness. Give only if your heart chooses it. Because generosity means the most when it is offered freely. My beloved child, remember this after the screen fades. You are not returning to ordinary life unchanged. Carry what was planted here. Protect what has begun. Walk gently. Stay attentive. Continue forward. And when difficult days come again, remember, you are not who you were before this moment. I love you more than words can say. Lift your head. Take the next step. And do not forget, what began in quiet can become something beautiful. Write amen to claim this blessing. Share this video with someone who needs it. And may peace surround you, wisdom guide you, and hope remain with you. God bless you.